Welcome to Speaking Holistically, the podcast that explores the power of alternative medicine, natural healing, and homeopathic solutions to help you achieve true wellness. Each week, Dr. Jen and Amy G dive into the world of holistic health, discussing researched, time-tested remedies with expert insights from Dr. Jen, as well as real-life stories from patients to empower you to take charge of your health. So if you're ready to embrace a more natural path to wellness, let's start speaking holistically, because true healing begins from within. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Speaking Holistically. I'm your co-host, Amy G. I'm here with my amazing co-host, Dr. Jen, and we're doing a Family Health Hub episode today on puberty.
So I have raised or am currently raising 4 teenagers. And so there's definitely some things that worked for us and made our lives so much easier, made their lives so much easier, because, you know, when your kids are angsty and as a parent, you don't know what to do. So I'm going to back up a little bit, because as a teenager, my hormones were insane. My parents were probably like, what are we going to do with this child? And honestly, I would have probably been diagnosed bipolar if I had had any other parents except for my own, right? So my moods swung so far, it was crazy. I mean, I couldn't get away from myself. And I know those of us who've had PMS type stuff, you know where you're at. And it can be really, really rough. So there is a product from Standard Process called Simplex F. There's one for females and there's one for males. So Simplex M, Simplex F. And I remember one time my dad yelled at me, "Have you taken your Simplex F?" And of course I wasn't going to let him win. And I'm 16, right? So I'm not going to let him win. And I was like, yes, knowing full well I hadn't taken it. And so I realized that I was that miserable. My dad was that miserable. My mom was just trying to hold on. And I went and I literally took like 15 of them. And about 10 minutes, well, it's all whole food supplements, right? So, I mean, whatever. So I went and I took like 15 of them. It's not like I was taking 15 Advil or something, you know? Yeah. So I went and took 15 of them because I knew I was in a bad place. So I took them and I'm walking down the hall, and maybe 20 minutes later, I don't know, but not very much longer. And I walked down the hall and I'm like, "Hey, Dad." And he was like, "You just took your Simplex F, didn't you?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Yeah, I could tell." And I was like, "Sorry." But I realized at that moment, like, how bad it could be for some people. And it was for me, for sure. So I was able to manage my hormones by myself by taking this product called Simplex F. Now that I'm into Schmary Menamars, Simplex F doesn't work for me, but it does work for other people. But during PMS, it was great. Now I have some women who take it during menopause, perimenopause, and they do great. So it's really kind of individualized for each individual person about what they need. But this, I usually hate packets of supplements, because I'm like, how can they put this stuff in there and then realize that, oh, this is what everybody needs, when that's not probably what they need.
Yeah.
So this is great for anybody, really. Literally anybody, but especially kids, like for pre-puberty, puberty, stuff like that. It's this. So it's the Adrenal Health Packs from Standard Process. Now they come in little packets like this. You see there we go. And in it, they have 2 Cataplex ACP, 1 Drenamin, and 1 Paraplex. So it's literally 4 little pills, and they're little tablets. This changed our lives at our house. So this was not around when I was going through puberty. So one day our second son came out of his room, and we have these in the kitchen, and literally we tear the top of the box open so that you can it's in a drawer and you can just reach in and grab it. Like, it's just super easy. Mm-hmm. And so he grabbed one, and about 20 minutes later he came out and grabbed another one, and about 30 minutes later he came out and grabbed another one. And I was like, so I looked at him, I said, "Rough morning, huh?" And he just looked at me, glared at me, and turned around and walked out, because he knew if he had said anything, it was just going to be horrible, whatever it was coming out of his mouth. Yeah. So my kids I've always kind of raised them where I was like, "Hey, listen, let's do this. Let's see if we can find a new attitude, retreat to your room for 15, 20 minutes, see what you can come up with, and come on back out." So if you go back and remember how angsty you were as a teenager, where you didn't know if you were coming or going, you didn't know what you want to do for the rest of your life, you're going to be an adult in a year, you don't know what college to go to, or whatever the situation is, and how can you decide at this age what you're going to do for the rest of your life? I mean, what I went through is nothing compared to what these kids are being inundated with social media. Like, I can't even imagine, can't even imagine.
Yeah.
So, and we try to minimize it. We didn't pull them all the way out. There's some great parents out there that have not given their kids phones. There's some great parents out there that have given their kids phones. I gave my kids phones, but we also tried to limit it as much as possible because it is a very addictive tool. So that being said, these packets have saved our lives. One of our kids, we asked them to empty the dishwasher, and she threw herself on the floor. Like, I don't even know. My husband and I both looked at her like, what is happening? And I was like, I got this, because I'm more familiar with this than he would be. And so I said, listen, here's a packet, go take it, give yourself 20, 30 minutes in your room and come on out and come talk to us, you know? And by then she could manage life, and she emptied the dishwasher. We didn't have any issues. There wasn't any yelling. It made all the difference in the world, just balancing these hormones out gently. And it's not giving the kids hormones, it's giving them nutrients so that their bodies can produce the right amount of hormones. So if the kid is angry, okay, then we got to support the liver, because the liver deals with anger, frustration, aggression, and irrationality. Okay, those are the big ones. Gallbladder is in there a little bit and deals with resentment. So there's different organs that hold on to different emotions. So we do Liviplex, you could do milk thistle. These are the two that I really like from Standard Process. One is Cruciferous Complete, which we've talked about, and the other one is SP Cleanse. Let's see if we can get those.
There we go. There we go. Now it's focused.
Sort of.
Yeah.
So the Cruciferous Complete we've talked about with excess estrogen as a natural aromatase inhibitor and for detoxification, and the SP Cleanse is also going to help with liver support, gentle liver support. So the liver is processing a tremendous amount of toxins, hormones, doing conversions for blood sugar, and dealing with allowing the insulin to bind to these said receptors. So it can make a huge difference. Also, diet, super huge. Get your kids off all of the crap that's processed, which sounds like it's impossible, but getting them off of things with synthetic folic acid, especially if they have an MTHFR gene issue. If you don't know what that is and you don't know if your kid has it, get them tested. Sometimes the blood test is $400 to $700 for that one blood test, but you can do it with the genetic labs, which is just part of the works that we'll talk about again with the Max Gen labs, which we'll put in the show notes below. But that is the owner's manual to their bodies, and it's great to give it to them and have a discussion, or have somebody have a discussion with them regarding their genetic labs so that they know how their body handles certain things. And they don't overtax their liver, and they're not in their 50s having liver issues or liver failure or fatty liver or whatever it is. So supporting that liver is going to be super huge, especially for mood. So water is going to be gigantic, decrease processed foods. These kids need more sleep. They're not getting enough sleep. Their friends are staying up till 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning and thinking they can function and get to school. So they're playing video games till all hours of the night. And it's not healthy for them. Their body is not going to be able to repair like it needs to. So the last thing, well, I shouldn't say the last thing. The other thing that you can add, this would be the foundation for sure, but the if somebody has acne on their back, then adding pituitrophin PMG may not be a bad idea. Starting with 1, going up to 2, maybe 3, that sort of a thing can absolutely be monumental for some of these kids. Proper amounts of vitamin A, which is interesting because Cataplex ACP in this is vitamin A with vitamin C and factor P. So this is actually really, really helpful, but the kids might need more vitamin A for the skin health. And instead of doing something like Accutane, which requires liver enzymes to be pulled because it's so difficult on the liver, you could potentially do therapeutic doses of natural vitamin A, but there are healthy and safe ways to do it. So find a practitioner that understands it, okay? And if you get too much, you'll end up with a bloody nose and you back off. So it's not like it's gonna kill you, okay? Okay, so this is something that I have formulated, and it is CalMag. And it's got 7 different sources of calcium with magnesium, vitamin D, C, zinc, and other minerals for the absorption of the calcium. So manganese, phosphorus, potassium gluconate, boron. So this makes a huge, huge difference in bone, health. So like if your kids are getting leg pains, like long bone pains, it's usually a deficiency. So if they're getting Osgood-Schlatter, it's that the muscles are basically pulling off of the bone, the periosteum. So a lot of people don't know what to do with that, and then their doctors will tell them just to take Advil, when really it's a calcium deficiency. So, and within a week, the pain can be completely gone. So they're growing at their highest rate. They're growing and they're not getting enough minerals. And so the muscles will basically try to get what it can and deplete the bones, basically. So then if you've got a kid who is on the shorter stature of things, pituitropin's not a bad idea at all. And I've got patients that can attest to that, doing a couple of those a day, 1 twice a day, and then doing the CalMag at night. So that can make a gigantic difference as far as growth. If they don't have enough nutrients, their bones can't grow to their highest potential, whatever that is for them. I've had this kid that I've been taking care of for 5-6 years probably now, and he was in, I want to say 8th grade, 7th grade, something like that. And he just told me recently, he's like, yeah, I used to get bullied for being the smallest kid in class. And I was like, seriously? And he goes, yeah. So we gave him pituitropin. We've been adjusting him. We've given him other things throughout the years, but this kind of stuff makes such a huge difference as far as the nutrients that his body needs. And he comes to the office and we keep marking, just like I would in my kitchen, the height of him. And so we just checked him, and I just showed him the other day, and he was like, gosh, I can't believe I've grown that much in that short period of time. So wow. It can make a huge difference getting those right nutrients in. So he's no longer, in fact, he's taller than me now. And his parents are both on the shorter side of things. So he was like thinking, oh, this is what I'm destined to be. But we were able to give him the right nutrients so that he can optimally grow to whatever he potentially could be, as opposed to just stunting that. So yeah, makes a huge, huge difference. So with these guys, I would say 3 to 6 of them at night, depending on the kid, and then go from there. But plenty of water, plenty of sleep, 1, 2, 3 of those a day, maybe 4, depending on what kind of a rough day we're having. Can't overdose on that stuff. That's all whole food supplements. So, yeah. And then supporting that liver, changing up your diet a little bit. Your gut is where 90% of serotonin is manufactured. So if you're eating garbage, your brain's not going to be happy, period. Yeah, so you don't have to live with an angry, frustrated kid, because then you're just going to be angry and frustrated, and then everybody's going to be burning through these things at your house. So it can make a huge, huge difference. And it goes from, is your house going to be a constant, angry, frustrated place, or is it a place that is peaceful and you give your kids the tools that they can figure out? Just like my son coming out and grabbing 3 packets in an hour, I was like, oh, geez. But he came back out. He's like, I'm sorry. I was like, you didn't say anything. You didn't do anything. You don't have to apologize to me. And he gave me a big hug. He's like, I just could not calm down. And I was like, that's okay. Sometimes we have days like that. So at least he had the tools so he can figure out what to do instead of getting in his car and getting ticked off and driving away fast or doing something stupid. So
yeah. Well, and this, first of all, this episode's so huge for parents that don't know what to do with their teenagers and their emotions, and the hormones are all over the map, and their behavior is incredibly challenging to deal with. So I just think it's wonderful that there's natural options for treating these things that are simple, and you just give their bodies what these teenagers need, and then everything shifts, with their emotions and their behavior.
Well, and it's not really about, it is about having a peaceful household and giving your kids tools, because they're going to need to use those. Our whole job as parents is to give our kids tools so when they become an adult, they can fully function optimally, right? That's the whole point. Yeah. At least that's my point. Fully functional humans that are kind, educated, and give back to this world that sometimes feels like it doesn't deserve it, right? But at the end of the day, our generation too isn't the same as this generation, Yeah. They're hurting themselves, they're hurting each other. It's like a completely different mindset than we would ever have. If we had puberty and we were frustrated, it's okay, we were frustrated. We go blow off some steam and come back. And some of these kids, that's not how they're behaving anymore. So there's more chemicals in our environment and our foods. They're not getting the sleep, they're getting hyper stimulation to their brains. And certain neurological patterns they're not evolving, they're not happening because of this hyperstimulation sometimes. So we could go into this forever, but there's a lot. So if you have control over a couple of these things, it can make a huge, huge difference for not just the physical health of your child, but also the mental health of your child.
Yeah, which is so critical. They need all the support with mental health that they can get these days. They are, to your point, right? They are challenged with so much more than we ever were growing up. And it's just, yeah, it's just a lot. They deal with an awful lot, definitely more than us. So, well, thank you, Dr. Jen. This was a wonderful episode. I'm sure you helped lots of parents out there get a calmer household and happier teenagers. So thanks everybody for listening. If you haven't joined our school community before, I'll put the link in the show notes below. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're everywhere. Come join us. Thanks so much, everybody. Until next time. Bye-bye.
That wraps up another episode of Speaking Holistically. Thank you for listening. We hope today's conversation gave you new insights and inspiration to take charge of your health. If you enjoyed this episode and want to hear more, be sure and join the Speaking Holistically school community by clicking the link in the show notes. There, you'll get access to daily podcast episodes, weekly live Q&As, educational content, and so much more. You can also connect with us on our Facebook page, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Until next time, be well, stay curious, and keep speaking holistically.